What is going on, people? Welcome to Palace News. I'm joined by Animal here to talk about, as you can see in the title, Strand, Larsen, 50. Yes, you're hearing right. £50 million deal. Another record-breaking transfer. However, there's a lot of noise surrounding it. People ain't happy. Some people are. So we're going to be discussing it all and all the details of the deal. As always, please do get involved throughout the show. Leave a like and subscribe, and most importantly, get involved in the live comment section or the comment section down below, because this deal is absolutely crazy and we've gone live a bit earlier than we usually do, but there's no point of waiting. I mean, this is record breaking transfer news and we just had to jump on live. And Animal, how you doing? It's approaching noon here and you're an hour ahead as well over in Spain, but when you first heard the news with Strand Larsen, £50 million, what was your first thoughts?
I thought I must be dreaming to break our transfer record twice in one window. Especially a January transfer window is bizarre, isn't it? Like, we're living in some strange times, you know.
Yeah, we are. We 100% are. Of course, Brendan Johnson at the start of the window, £35 million was the first record being broken, and this is the second. But in terms of sources, various sources have reported this now. Fabrizio Romano has given his go-ahead with Here We Go. Sammy Mockbell from BBC has said that a deal has been agreed for £50 million, £45 million plus £5 million in add-ons. And on top of that, we're looking at David Ornstein, who said the similar figures, 45 plus 5. So everyone's reporting it. It seems like it is happening. It's no transfer BS news. That's, you know, sometimes does happen, go around with agents talking. Strand Larsen should be on his way. We'll see, hopefully ready for the weekend, which is going to be, well, exciting. One, to have a new striker, and two, I don't know what happens with Mateta, which we'll discuss. But my thoughts on this is, I thought all along, even at the start of the window, pretty much if we were going to bring in a striker, Strand Larsen was clearly the number one option. And I always thought we was going to go in from if Mateta left the club. £50 million is a lot of money. However, I think if you view it like how I do, which is £40 million you're getting for Mateta, then you get 50 million, then spending £50 million on Strand Larsen, you're basically spending around £10 million out of your own pocket, which doesn't sound as bad to me. One goal in the Premier League this season, of course, that's not great. However, he was meant to join Newcastle last summer for £60 million, didn't get a move. Started games earlier on in the season, then slowly faded away, could drop into the bench. But last season, when everything was fine, he was playing his football. 14 goals, 4 assists in the Premier League. In his previous clubs, he's scored goals as well. So this is a striker that knows where to find the net. And that's the key here, because with the likes of, for example, Nketiah, it was a gamble of hopefully you find the net here because you haven't played as much at Arsenal. Whereas he's actually played throughout his career, not only over in England, various other clubs, and he has scored goals, which is a key indicator for me, a positive indicator to replace him. But of course, the price tag will never run away. There's people saying, for example, could you have done better with that money buying maybe 2 players? I think, yes, in theory, you could do that. However, signing Sheriff or another striker that hasn't found the net in the Premier League, which I don't know who else, maybe some people can give me names, it will be a huge gamble. It would be a huge gamble. And Strand Larsen is a gamble in itself, but it's a gamble I'm happy about due to the fact that he's actually found the net in this league. And with context about how many starts he's had this season and the whole situation at Wolves, yes, it's not great, but there is something behind it why he's only scored a goal. But how do you view the whole situation, Animal?
Well, you know, I think, you know, looking at the context is going to be really important with this transfer, you know, and, you know, the guy is Premier League experienced at least, you know, and he's 6'4". So he's a big physical presence that we can, you know, look forward to seeing replace Mateta up front. You know, just depending on what Mateta does, I think he's probably going. But it's the price tag that people are going to have a bit of a problem with. And for a club, you know, that have made mistakes in the past, let's say the money spent on Nketiah was too much. França, you know, and SA we don't seem to be making the most of, and he's out on Coventry doing well. So, you know, I think people would have liked to have seen a little bit more frugality in this situation. Maybe 40 mil, 35 or something like that. So negotiating a better deal would have been nice, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And I think I'm somebody who has been really just, annoyed and frustrated by the whole situation at Palace in 2008, his post-match press conference with Sunderland. So, I'm going scorched earth, and I think radical change is needed. But for 50 mil, it's hard to justify. So hopefully he can do something for us.
Yeah. So in his previous seasons, before he joined Wolves, he scored 13 goals, 3 assists in the Liga. And then also he has played over in the Netherlands, and he scored 14 goals in the Eredivisie and 2 assists in 32 games. So, I mean, he's got an eye for goals in various different leagues, and that's what I'm seeing as like a positive indicator, the fact that he's come to the Premier League and done this. But the one goal this season that he scored in the league, he scored a hat-trick against Shrewsbury Town, which you'll laugh to say, okay, it's against Shrewsbury Town. Well, you saw what we done against Macclesfield. So, I mean, that's still we done nothing. Yeah, what's your views on the single goal and 14 starts and his season so far at Wolves? Is that a concern for you as well as a price tag?
Well, I think he had his head turned, didn't he, by the Newcastle transfer, and I think we know when a player has ideas of moving away, his performances sort of maybe get worse, or they're not up to the standard that you could normally expect from somebody who's maybe his heart isn't in it at Wolves anymore. I think we've seen the same with Mateta. The guy can't put away his one-on-ones, and we're thinking maybe his head was turned, before the transfer window came along. But some of us were attributing to him playing internationally for France, and now we know that it's probably best that he moves on for his sake and our sake as well. So yeah, there are similarities there.
Yeah, there are. Strand Larsen is 25, I believe, turning 26 next month. So a few years younger than, of course, Mateta, who's now in his prime. Let's go through the comments. It's going to be wild, I guess. Everyone's going to have their own thoughts. So he's not worth £50 million. Fair enough. That's name saying people disrespect the Mateta this season. He has 8 in 23, and Strand Larsen has 1 in 21. Plus, Mateta has much larger body of work. 1 FA Cup. Well, Mateta didn't single-handedly win us the FA Cup, of course. Played a part to it, but yeah, he's won the FA Cup because of everyone around him, as well as his contribution as well, of course. But yeah. Tim saying it's also worth remembering the transfer fees are constantly getting inflated, they're increasing out of control. Yeah, they are, and we're getting £40 million for Mateta, and Wolves are going to know that. They are going to know that. They're not going to say, all right, cool, you'll get £40 million for Mateta. It's fine. He's out of, he's out of form. We'll still sell you Strand Larsen for 30. We just had to make a decision. I'm pretty sure there were other strikers out there that we could have got for cheaper, but that would have been a bigger gamble, which we've seen it with some of our transfers so far. Those gambles don't work out, and we're not in a great position right now to take even more of a gamble on an unproven striker, in my opinion, of where we are currently. I think we will be doing that eventually. I think Sheriff, if it's not Sheriff, someone else will be coming in, and I do think our striker options will change, but I don't think it'll be changing in this window, and I don't think we should be doing it in this window. If there was any time to spend big on a player, then it would be now when Mateta's leaving and you're getting that money in. We shouldn't be signing anyone over £30 million. Where's the profit coming off? £50 million signing is now entering his supposed prime. Where do you stand with the limit in terms of spending? I'll be honest, I'm a bit confused, because I don't think you can please anyone, everyone. That's just football for you. But it just feels like when we do spend money, it's too much. When we don't spend money, it's too less. Like, where do you find the fine ground between this spending too much on a player and spending too less on signings as well?
I think it's by necessity, isn't it? And I think this is probably going to be like viewed as a panic buy eventually. In terms of the price. I think that losing our main striker, our big target man in Mateta, who's done really well for us the last couple of seasons, this is a big thing, and I think that they're trying to make a big statement and make a big money signing to bring in somebody who's got some experience and can possibly replicate Mateta's attributes on the pitch, you know, and so they're putting 50 mil on Strand Larsen, you know. I don't know what to say about the price any more than I wouldn't do it if it was me. You know, I think 40 million would be probably about as much as I'd top out at.
We've been burnt on every signing we've made over £30 million. And Nketiah, I agree. Brennan Johnson, I think, is still early days. If you do want to write him off after, I don't know how many games he's played, 5 or less than 5, then fair enough. But I think that's a bit harsh. Let's just see what happens, especially next season under a different system. And even in this system, you know, he's only played 1 game with Sarr and Munoz in the team, which of course wing backs make a big difference. And we'll see. He played down the left. You know, he's going to have to find his role in the side. But yeah, Nketiah has 100% not being nowhere near good enough. But in terms of £30 million plus signings, Nketiah compared to Strand Larsen, I think it's 2 different things due to the fact that Nketiah didn't play as much. And we took the gamble to say if he does play, he'll score goals. I mean, how do Nottingham Forest still want Mateta? They do. I'm not too sure. Of course, he has scored goals in the Premier League, so I guess they're leaning more on that. And maybe they're seeing the situation as we're seeing Strand Larsen. You know, he's out of favour. Well, he's not out of favour at Palace. He's going to be playing every game. But he scored goals at Palace. He wants to move to a different club. If he comes to us, he's going to end up scoring more goals. Maybe that's how they see it. I'm not too sure. I don't know what you think, Adam.
Do you know, it's getting to a point where I think that Marianakis is just purposefully messing with us, you know?
Well, I mean, if you're messing with us spending £40 million Mateta, which I don't think anyone will be giving us regardless of this window or next summer, then I'm not really mad about that messing about. Me personally, I'm not that fussed by him messing about with us because I don't, in the long term, I want to see how good Mateta does for them, especially with the wages they're paying. And they've paid silly money on players. They're spending way more than Palace, even in the summer. So yeah, it is when you have that much of a backing, you just have to go out there and spend money on players which you think you can take the gamble. I think they're taking a gamble. 40 million. They're spending £40 million out of their own pocket. That's the big thing. Well, to be fair, Douglas Luiz, they're not getting anything for him. So yeah, we're not spending £40 million or £50 million directly out of their own pocket. Just basically getting a Mateta money, and then you're getting rid of Mateta for Strand Larsen. Strand Larsen has had 1 good season in the Premier League. Same people criticizing Mateta for a 18-month purple patch. Fair point. I've said that as well. He's only had 1 season scoring 14 goals. But I mean, he hasn't been in the Premier League longer than 1 season. But this is his 2nd season, and he hasn't done great with the reasons that we've listed. But I'm more not just looking at Premier League numbers. I'm looking at what he's done in La Liga, as well as over in the Netherlands as well. And he has scored double-figure goals in all of the leagues that he's played in, which is a positive indicator. So yeah, that's how
Strand Larsen with those 14 goals. That's already more than Nketiah has scored in 1 season, I think, in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, Nketiah, don't think is how many goals has he scored in 1 season in the Premier League. I could quickly look it up. 10? No, 5. He scored 5 in 21-22. But yeah, Nketiah has never scored 10 goals in the Premier League in his entire career, and he's been about since the 19-20 season. So yeah, he's been about for a few years and never gone into double figures. Question: all for this, how many goals does he need to get to be respected signing? Loving this though. How many goals do you reckon he needs to get to say, all right, you know what, you're worth the £50 million?
I think this season, for the remainder of this season, he kind of gets a free pass, and whatever he scores, he scores and contributes to us. You know, I would be more interested in Strand Larsen to see if his hold-up play and his ability to introduce our players further up the field, like Mateta does really well. To be quite honest with you, even when Mateta's not scoring, his hold-up play is brilliant. So I'd want to see that replicated. Before we start talking about how many goals he contributes for this season, but starting from next season, it'd be great if he could start off with double figures, you know, in a season for us. That'd be good.
Yeah. I think, as you've mentioned, from here to the end of the season, it's hard to put a number down. I think next season, of course, there's going to be more pressure on him to get it going, as he's having 6 months or 6 months just to settle down at Palace. But I don't think he should be taking too long to settle down. You know, I think he should still get a few goals here and there. But most importantly, it's about the chances created. Now, if we're creating no chances for him and he's not scoring any goals, then I'm not going to be as mad. But if we're creating chances and he's missing one-on-ones like JP is, then that's a different context because he spent £15 million on a player. So, yeah, as long as if we create the same amount of chances as we do for JP and he actually finishes some of those chances that we've had, then I think that's going to be a positive indicator. But, of course, that depends on how many chances we create from here going forward.
There is context with Mateta as well. You know, for the goals he's scored this season, I think 4 of them have been penalties, right? So from open play, it's been a bit, you know, it's been poorer than we think it has from Mateta in terms of goal scoring.
Yeah. He's got 10 goals in the league, but as you mentioned, there have been some penalty goals as well. And then he's got a hat trick for Bournemouth. When you put it like that, no, he's scored 8 Premier League goals this season. So yeah, 1 in Conference League and 1, of course, in the Community Shield as well. So yeah, he hasn't scored like tons from open play. He's barely scored any from open play. Hat trick at Forest, that's enough for me. So yeah, if he was to be ready and all signed for Forest, do you go start him straight away?
What do I think Forest start Mateta?
No, Strand Larsen.
Oh, against Forest. Yeah, 100%. I think I'd put him straight into the starting lineup.
Yeah, not as mobile as Mateta. Chris Wood, Mark 250k, well overpaid. Pat, I have to agree. I feel like a desperate deal, a non-football decision, a PR one. If we can return for the rest of the season, putting away the majority of the chances after settling in period, double figures next season. Yeah, I think next season, if he's going to be the regular starter, it should be double figures. But if you're Nketiah, now moving on just quickly from Sean Larson, how do you feel about this deal? You just spent £30 million on me. You barely gave me an opportunity. You sell Mateta, and then you go spend £50 million on another striker. Are you frustrated if you're Eddie, saying, you know, what's my future like at Palace?
I think Nketiah should really, you know, look at himself, look at his own personal goal scoring record, and he will probably know that, you know, it's not been the best of returns for him at any club he's been at, really. So I think he's probably going to have no problem motivating himself. I'm worried about the team in general as we continue under Glasner. You know, I feel like the boat has been rocked. And whatever Nketiah, you know, is feeling about, you know, the team performances, a lot of the players are probably feeling. So, you know, I think motivating these guys is going to be Glasner's, you know, top priority and main job.
Yeah, and this is a fair point as well. We don't even know. We could be playing 2 strikers next season. I doubt it. I don't see that many managers playing with 2 strikers. But I do feel like with the other rumours in regards to strikers, there is a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if Nketiah moves on this summer. I do have that feeling. It's a gut feeling. I don't know for certainty, but I wouldn't be shocked if we move him on in the summer. Nketiah has no future at Palace. We will be lucky to get £10 million for him. Eddie Nketiah's never got a proper chance, though. Is that fair from Sean?
I mean, I think it's fair in terms of what he's done at Palace. I don't think he's really. I mean, we played him in the 10. He's probably had less appearances in his natural position than he has in the 10. So you know, in that respect, I think it's probably fair to say. But if you look at his Premier League record, I mean, this is a guy who was born and raised in the Premier League, you know, to play football in this league, and he's not brought back a return that's anywhere near good enough. I think most people would say that he is a lower table player and championship player, you know, for a good championship player there, you know.
Yeah. Our problems go back to recruitment and our transfer business ever since Dougie left. Are you worried about the recruitment direction the club is going in since Dougie's left?
Yeah, I think I am. It just seems to be uninspiring. Whereas before, you know, Dougie would come up with something. You know, I mean, if you look at Mateta, the guy was not sort of pulling up any trees when we had him on loan. You know, I think he scored 1 goal on loan for us, and then we signed him for cheaper than we were obliged to. I think it was the original money we were supposed to pay. We got him for cheaper because, he was underwhelming, and then he blew up. So players are always constantly improving and getting better. And but in terms of the recruitment, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. But it does seem a little bit like we're making some very Matt Hobbs specific signings with Strand Larsen here.
Yeah, it seems like we're going in a different direction. I think with Matt Hobbs, you judge him from this window onwards. In the summer, he wasn't really involved. It seems like it was Steve Parish running the show. Now, it is a different direction, but we don't know how we're going to end up. As you've mentioned, £35 million on Brennan Johnson, £50 million on Strand Larsen. In terms of actual money being spent, I mean, with Brennan Johnson, it seems like some of the Eze money being spent. But it's hard to pin down because we have signed a few other players. But with this one especially, it seems simple. Mateta leaves, £40 million, Strand Larsen 50, so it's like £10 million spent. It is a different direction. But it's hard to judge him based on one window because as much as I love Dougie, he had misses as well. And yeah, I don't think anyone's perfect. And I guess Matt Hobbs, we can properly judge him in the summer when we have a bit more time, new manager, what type of direction are we going to go in? Because I don't see us spending 35, 50 million pounds for players in the summer. I really don't, unless Adam Water leaves or Munoz maybe leaves, depending on how much he goes for. But I do think we're going to be a bit more smart with the money element. But yeah, some people are just used to us not spending as big. So let's not spend as big on one player. Let's spread that across 2-3 players. And I understand that because like that you improve the squad depth, and we need to improve the squad depth. But it doesn't feel like we want to take that gamble in this window. I think we might be taking that gamble maybe in the summer, buying players for like 15, 20 million pound, a couple of them, rather than spending big on one. So yeah, would be over PSR if he comes in without JP leaving. JP's leaving anyways. I don't think this is a case of Strand Larsen and Mateta being at the football club at the same time. That's not going to be happening. Wolves, it was a mutual decision, so I don't think he got sacked. And yeah, he left in June, so he left. I don't think he was involved with their summer business as much. But he did find Mane, who's a baller at Wolves, 18-year-old, who's coming. Selling Elise for £50 million was suicidal. He's worth well over double now, at least £125 million. Well, we had the option, right? We could sell him for £35 million to Chelsea, or he agreed to sign a new release clause, which was £50 million. So we got a bit more money, and then he ended up moving away. So I think we weren't really in this position of power. If we were, then I don't think Elise ever goes for £50 million, because even when we sold him, I think it's worth around 80 to, as you said, he's worth now probably £125 million. But we just didn't have much in that position because we could have sold him the summer before for even less, and he done us a favor by staying and not causing a big fuss.
Yeah, I've had a problem with the Elise sale for quite a while now, but it all comes back to the initial purchase from Reading, where a release clause was negotiated into that deal, and I probably would have tried to not have that in there in the first place, and just said to him, look, we consider ourselves to be a stepping stone for you. You consider us to be a stepping stone. Let's do this right, because we want to make money off of you on the other side, and we want to make sure that Reading get money and we get money as well. So we don't really want a release clause in there, and then we could have negotiated a fee. So I think it all comes back down to that initial deal that we got Elise from Reading from, and unfortunately there was nothing we could do about that. We protected ourselves against Chelsea against it, but when Bayern Munich came calling, it wasn't going to happen.
And I don't think anyone expected Elise to turn into a 70, 80 million pound player as quick as he did. So if you look at the context, £8 million, we got him from Reading, and we sold him for £50 million. That's still very good returns for a player, decent amount of money. But we know that his value was much higher. So yeah, when you look at it like that, I understand the frustration. Elise would have hurt more if he stayed in the Prem. So we're not going to stay on for too long. It's a quick show. Talking about Strand Larsen, people mentioning managers. We'll talk about managers when that comes around. We thought we'd jump on for Larsen. So yeah, overall, what are you going to give this signing out of 10?
I think I'm going to give it about 6.5, 7. I think I think we need to replace Mateta. I think Glasner said in that press conference about timing being everything, about when to sell players, and he's upset and frustrated with the timing of Mark Hayes' departure. Well, I'm upset with the announcement by JP when he decided to do it, which is when we were hurting. You know, we were hurting after Gay left, we were hurting after Glasner's comments, and Mateta's just taken the initiative to say, "I want out of this mess." Don't blame him for that, but let's make moves and let's get this deal done. So to have somebody in who is a big, strong lad, you know, he's 25 still. He's got his prime years ahead of him. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, and just hope that he exceeds my expectations.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.5. I am excited. I've said it as well. I do wonder how it does for Palace, but it's just the price tag that's a bit nervy and adds a bit more pressure onto this deal. I think if we got him for a bit cheaper, managed to get a deal out of him, Wolves are getting relegated, and then summer I think he would have come for cheaper as well. So yeah, we could have done a bit better in that regards. But then again, you're spending around £10 million once Mateta leaves, so it's not the worst case scenario. He's got goals in different leagues that he's played in. So, and age is on his side. I think it's just a price tag. If the price tag was a bit better, I think I'll give it higher because I'm excited about the signing. So yeah, I'm going to go with 6.5 right now. Let's see what everyone else is saying. 6 out of 10, 2 out of 10, crazy. 8 out of 10 from Pete. Plage Dinosaur, 4 out of 10. So yeah, it's just varied. Some people are happy, some people are upset. Hopefully we'll all get behind him. That's the one thing. As much as people can be frustrated, hopefully we'll all get behind him at Sellers, because yeah, he's gonna be here. It's gonna be the record signing, and I think for all of us, I don't think anyone would be upset if he starts banging the goals, even if you give him 2 out of 10. So just get behind him, and then gets the goals, and we go and win the Conference League. That's the best case scenario. But of course, that's a scenario. That's just a scenario right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Just quickly before we go, this is actually a good news. Danny Imre to West Brom, and he's moving up to the Championship. I'm good with that move because I was a bit confused. Like, why did we recall him if we're not going to play him, and what was the purpose of that? But he's moving up a higher level. Quick words on that, Animal.
Yeah, happy about that. He came back off of loan. I thought we were going to see him in the team, but it wasn't to be. So yeah, I'm glad that he's going to a Championship club. It seems like he's making that ever increasing step up to first team football with us. So yeah, hopefully this is the last loan.
Yeah, let's see. But if you have enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and we'll be back for more breaking news. But until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.